If Sauron can muster beasts alongside Uruks, his war machine will be unstoppable. I do not have time for another one of your hunts, Master Dwarf.
Ah, but this is your hunt, Captain. There's a pack of war chiefs just arrived in Nurn. Call themselves Beastmasters.
That does sound like my kind of prey. What do I need to know?
I know you're familiar with the Caragors. I taught you everything you know about them. But let me tell you about their cousins from...
Torvin, what of the war chiefs? You didn't bring me here just to hunt another wild cat, did you?
Just a hunt on a... Pay attention, Captain. These Caragaths are a silent, stealthy breed from beyond Nurn. And they can sneak up on just about anything. And what's worse, this new beast tamer has been burning the brushlands to the north. He means to capture them, break their will, twist them into Sauron's war machine.
Every war chief is a scourge upon this land. Beastmaster or no, I will end them.
Whoa, slow down. First thing we need to do is foil their plans. And I see no better way of doing that than using the very same Caragars against this orcish scum.
Show me how to find one of these creatures, then.
Gladly, Captain. There's a Caragath hiding in those bushes. There it is. Go get it.
Ah, this beast does look useful.
Excellent! Now listen, there's an Uruk camp nearby. It's where they're bringing their captured beasts. I suggest you take your new pet and prowl up to them unnoticed. I've had a decent hunt for a while.
Time for you to help me against Typhon.
Ready to defeat Typhon?
it does automatically the lowest one, the lowest amount of numbers. I guess so. Choose a player to make them draw 4 cards and have them discard 2. Whoa. Savage. That's a solid Savage card. Yeah. The 7s broke all picking. 7s are savage. Like, they just break the rules in this game. Like, the coding is not ready for it. Yeah, Oh, now we know. And now, bro, and Jason knows that 7s break the special rule games.
Let me guide you.
You will perish together. What about your pride?
I'll take care of it.
Savage.
Weak and selfish. Your heroes will exist as shadows of their former selves, serving me forever.
There's something being said in the background. Oh. I think he gets to choose who to give a card. I think that's his character's power. He gets to choose who to give a card. You got to read your character's effects.
Burn, baby, burn. Be proud of me, I think.
Let's see if you... Oh. Oh. Yeah, we all just got a curse card from...
I hate him.
So you have to try getting rid of that curse card. So you just draw every time, yeah. Every time you play. Think you get to pick 2 of your cards? What's your character's power? Each time you play active card, choose a card to give any player and discard it. Can you do that? There you go. Nice. So no, just that's that one. I guess you get to pick.
Take care of it.
Hmm. Okay.
Proud of me, I think.
Nope. Huh. I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Well, that was easy. You're welcome.
I want to see if Char gets out. Oh, looks like I'm having to draw. Yep.
Oh yeah, light my fire.
My character doesn't have specific cards.
I have you now.
Now, I guess now you know. You don't have to pick it next time. Well, that we just have to be flexible. Yeah, yep.
Why did he get what?
We all got curses. Yeah, you did.
Not all of them.
Yeah, all of us. When that circle, so Char.
You will perish together.
Okay, well, anyways, it makes so we all have a curse. So maybe it doesn't affect if you already have a curse, but nonetheless. So.
You can't contain my fury.
That was easy. You're welcome.
These sound effects makes me feel like I'm playing a pinball machine. All right. I'm gonna embrace the challenge. See what happens. Oh, of course. All right. You went very quickly choosing that +4. Oh, yep. That just got excited. No, I was already choosing to do the +4, even without Jason's word. Because he said he clicked it so quickly, it seemed like you had the card, you just wanted to use it. Oh, I wish I can bite that. I'm eating that. I'm eating that +2.
Proud of me, I think.
You didn't jump in. There have been no jumping in this whole game.
I'll take care of it.
The Olympians think a pathetic army of pagans can stop me.
Well, that was easy.
All right, let's see if Hercules won. Nope. Wait, what? I was supposed to skip your turn. It glitched. And I have this skip. Literally like just stuck on screen.
Well, that was easy. You're welcome.
So you gotta change the color by the time it's my turn. Oh, it has an 8. That's what I'm talking about. Ah. That's It saved her bacon. All right, let's see where the auto decides whose turn is skipped. Oh. Let's see if it challenges. See what the bot does.
I'll take care of it.
Oh, that's true. But he still can challenge because it's a plus. We'll see. He has his turn effect to do where he gives someone a random card. Oh, he's giving him. Oh. Ah.
Can't contain my fury. You will perish together.
Nice. You can't challenge though, so those are great cards. Oh.
What about your pride?
But Jason might win now. Okay. Trust you. Let's see what happens. Is this game?
Me, I think.
It's probably going to be Hercules. All right, that game was that game gave me a headache because it was just broken all along. That's very true. Well, then that's just you're just gonna have to wait until the next allotment. Like we just don't. Once we start the steps, we just don't touch. Now he knows. Now he knows. No, let's just leave it be. Now you know. Yeah, you had your fruit, so go ahead. You want me to start reading? Okay. All right, get closer, friends. Let's get closer so everyone can get closer. All right. King G is around for amazing. Thank you for this beautiful day. As we are always feeling the call to compromise and to find good and bad on our own, we just look to you, King Jesus, who did it, who didn't compromise, who didn't seize power and autonomy, but you submitted. And we look to you for life. Everything in us is calling us. Our being is saying, do what I want. For it's better. But may we just hear now and acknowledge it's not better. For you are good. You are Tov Tov. So we thank you, King Jesus, that your nose is long. That it takes you a very long time to get angry. You long suffer in your anger, that you just take our waywardness upon yourself. You took our waywardness and just draw close to us. For you're good. You know Pinocchio gets it through lying. And the Hebrew scriptures is way older than the puppet story. But I could see that. But we as Yahweh's creation are very thankful for his long nose. Which means I mean that's the imageries we have in ours, so yeah. That's normal. But in Hebrew, do you know what long nose means? What does it mean in Hebrew? Take a long time to get angry, yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll just quickly recap Esther's story, because it's been a while since little JJ's been with us. So you appreciate that. But anyways, so right now, the Israelites are in exile for... Yep, covenant unfaithfulness. They were supposed to have the Eden blessing if they would have followed the covenant, but they didn't, and so they experienced the curse. And so the curse was they can't be on the land. And now here is the people group surviving in a land that's hostile towards Yahweh. And so through this group, Yahweh is using... So here's the harsh reality. Are you ready, JJ? Is King Xerxes has kidnapped a whole bunch of girls to be his wife, to be the queen. They went through a full beauty pageant. This was just the sad model that they were at this time. Not in that country. He's the king. Whatever his eyes sees that are pleasing, he does. Well, Joe Biden's not a king. He's a president, and this is different times. This is Persian monarchy time. Kings actually still exist during this time. A good example is North Korea. He's actually seen himself as a god king. Like literally. Like, his nation sees him as a god king. Well, he sees it right in his eyes. He sees it right in his eyes, and he takes it for it. In his eyes, in his definition of Tov and Ra. No, that was a good question. In his eyes, yes, he sees it right. No. I see. Like it's very inconsiderate because a lot of people do die by his hand. By his definition of Tov and Ra. And so here in this, so Queen Vashti, so in Persian society, it's even in the Hebrew, the husband is the master, the wife is the servant. And so there's a moment where King Xerxes called for his wife to do a little dancing for the guest. To pretty much show his dominance, and Queen Vashti said no, and so then they had her disposed as the queen, and so now they sent a beauty pageant. So pretty much they kidnapped local beautiful girls, and one of the kidnappees is Esther, And so Esther, throughout the kidnap beauty pageant, she got nominated as as the head queen. She took over Queen Vashti's place. And so now we're reading up. Oh, sorry, what's up? There's no choice. He didn't even say marry me. Is after the beauty pageant, whoever he found pleasing in his own eyes, the most beautiful, then they became his wife. There's no choice in the matter. I mean, yeah, they had a whole ceremony, but there is no like I am. There's just you're married. You are now married to me.
Guys, he held me hostage. He's forcing me.
That's what everyone assumes in the area. Like, this kind of practice still happens in other areas where ladies are kidnapped and forced to be wives. This is not new. So this is just a outcome of the fall, where now men and women were equal in the garden, but because of the fall, usually what happens is men they take ladies and put them under their control. Again, you're talking about now times. Now times there's empathy. Now times there's this understanding that everyone has, that in general Western society, everyone has rights. But we're talking about 2,400 years ago, when those ideas are not prominent. Okay. And these are good questions. Don't feel like you're being... And this is... I'll wait for you, JJ. I said I'll wait for you, JJ. And so, all right, can you hear me, JJ? Can you hear me? Take a big glass of water. All right. So there are moments where, like, even when men try to dominate ladies, there are moments where there's resistance, even in scripture. And Queen Vashti showed resistance. She's like, no, I'm on my own person. And then literally, so this is a civil dispute. And like, this is the example. Like, imagine Robin, she told me, so tonight is Tuesday, so I'll probably be playing video games tonight. Robin goes, no, you cannot play video games. And then and I have like company over and I'm like, wah. And so this is what King Xerxes does. He brings in the court. And so like, all right, I'm taking you to court. And so this is like, yeah, this is my example and that's what King Xerxes does. He has his court around him and the court's like, oh no, what's going to happen when all the ladies in the province hear this story and then they don't listen to their master husbands. And so then the court said, all right, we're going to have her disposed and then we'll go do this whole kidnap beauty pageant and get you a new wife. Yeah. And so now we're seeing, again, every society, we all have our compromise, like we all have our things we compromise on. Like, for instance, like most of our clothes are made through child slavery. Very low income wage. Like there's a reason why we have a lot of cheap clothing and articles is because of probably low income slavery that happens overseas. And during the Super Bowl, is a huge child trafficking that happens during that time. So again, like people groups find it good in their eyes to take, and this is the scripture. Actually, scripture condemns this. Because it says, how does it say, Char? Like, he saw it pleasing in his eyes. Like any moment. You know another moment where there was pleasing in the eye and took? Jason, JJ? You know another moment where someone found that it was pleasing in the eyes and they took? The Garden of Eden. Where Eve saw the fruit was pleasing in the eyes after the serpent tempted her and she took. Anytime you see scripture say it was pleasing in the eyes, the scriptures, the writers are pointing towards, this is not good. But now we're hearing how Yahweh can take even human institutional evil and still make good out of it. Because now we're going to read about Haman, who is set out to destroy the Jewish people, God's covenant people. He's very anti-Semitic, and so he's going to go out and try to destroy the Israelites, the promised people. The line that we get King Jesus. Like, he wants them genocide, annihilated. So, ready to begin? Robin does, and she's going to have to. You could ask her to help you with that. Nice. Robin does, and I know other people who sew, and so if Robin, okay, if Robin can help you, I could ask other people if they can help you. All right, ready? What's up? I don't know. But is that the point? Okay. Because this is good stuff. Okay, let's start. Talking about it is just adding more time. The possibility of a non-miraculous miracle. So the king's scribes were summoned in the first month, on the 13th day of it, and a decree was made in accordance with all that Haman had commanded to the king's satraps and to the governors over each province and to the officials of each people, province by province in accordance with its script, and people by people in accordance with his language, written in the name of King Xerxes and sealed with the king's ring. Documents were sent by means of runners to all the king's province with orders to destroy, slaughter, and eliminate all the Judahites from young to old, little ones and women, on one day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is Adar, and to plunder their property as spoil. A copy of the document was to be given out as a law in every individual province, shown to all the peoples so that they would be ready for this day. The runners went out, driven by the king's word, and the law was given out in the fortress of Susa, while the king and Haman had sat down to a banquet. The city of Susa was perplexed. When Mordecai got to know all that had happened. So what just happened here? The law went out where you could completely annihilate the Jews and you could take all their stuff as plunder. It's yours. So, let's say our neighbor is Jewish. A decree went out that my house can go into his house, kill the family, take their stuff. Yeah, it is brutal. Yeah. Yeah, if your heart didn't cry hearing that, then there's definitely a check the heart moment. When Mordecai got to know all that had happened, Mordecai got to know all that had happened, Mordecai tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and dirt. He went out into the midst of the city and cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He came as far as before the king's gate because people could not come into the king's gate in sackcloth. In every individual province, each place where the king's word and his law arrived, there was a great mourning on part of the Judahites, fasting, weeping, and lamenting. Sackcloth and dirt were laid on many people. So that just means, so sackcloth and dirt is mean they're putting on regular clothes. You know how a lot of times people dress up for church? This is like you're lamenting so hard that you're putting on regular clothes. Because sackcloth is working clothes. Esther's girls and her eunuchs came and told her, and the queen trembled. So remember, Esther's not the queen. She sent Mordecai clothes to put on so that he could put off the sackcloth on him, but he will not accept them. So Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had put in place before her, and charged him to go to Mordecai to get to know what this was about and why this was happening. Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square in front of the king's gate, and Mordecai told him everything that had happened to him and about the details of the silver that Haman said he will pay to the king's treasury in connection with the Judahites to eliminate them. Mordecai gave Hathach a copy of the document containing the law that had been given out in Susa for their destruction to show Esther and tell her, and to charge her to come to the king and seek favor with him and inquire of him concerning her people. Hathach came and told Esther Mordecai's words, but Esther said to Hathach and charged him to say to Mordecai, all the king's staff and the people of the king's province know that any man or woman who comes to the king and the inner courtyard who has not been summoned, he has one law, execution, unless the king extends to him the gold scepter and he lives, and I have not been summoned to come to the king these 30 days. So the law went out, kill, kill, kill. All the Jewish, they were mourning. They were lamenting over this. And so now Mordecai has told Esther, now, to come directly into the king's, like the king is on the court, you cannot come up to me unless you've been summoned. But if you come up to me without being summoned, you get executed. Unless I put my staff out to show that I've given you mercy. So she has not been summoned. There is no rule for her to be summoned. But she's like, pray for me because I'm going to have to walk to the king. There's a chance of me being executed. Pray for me that I have favor. When they told Mordecai Esther's words, Mordecai said to take back word to Esther, do not imagine within yourselves that you will escape in the king's household of all the Judahites. Because if you indeed stay silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Judahites from one place. But you and your father's house will perish. Who knows if it was for this time that you reached royal position? Esther said to take back word to Mordecai, go assemble all the Judahites be found in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I too will fast and my girls in this way, and in this way I will come to the king, which is not in accordance with the law. But if I perish, I perish. Mordecai went his way and did in accordance with everything that Esther charged them. So she's like, I'm going to come to the king, and if I die, I die, but pray for me. All right.
Finally. No, stop.
Okay. Let's start, friends. A month ago, I was dizzy for several days and spent 2 days in the hospital having tests to make sure I didn't have a brain tumor or wasn't having a stroke. All the tests came out clear. So once the dizziness, the vagaries. That's a funny word.
Vagary.
Vagary, but vagaries. Why do I see- Okay, he is
Vagaries.
vagaries, which means success to the event will be determined by the vagaries of the other. Okay. Okay. Unexpected events or change that cannot be controlled or influenced. Okay, so it means unexpected. The unexpected. All right. Vagaries. The vagaries of the health insurance system meant that to try to resolve the puzzle, I had to see a different neurologist, a young guy without the hospital neurologist reputation. Within 5 minutes, he identified the problem. Some crystals in my ears had got out of alignment, and there was a simple maneuver that could put this right, which my wife and I could use if the dizziness reoccurs. The doctor recognized the problem because he and his mother had both experienced it, and the fact that by using the maneuver, he could at will make me dizzy and then resolve the dizziness showed he was not simply projecting his problem onto me. My wife and I left his office marveled that God had done something miraculous. Yet it was a behind-the-scenes, non-miraculous miracle, a miracle of timing and coincidence. The book of Esther is about that sort of miracle, but it never mentions God, never mentions Israel or the covenant, and never mentions prayer, as it did not mention the reason for Mordecai's refusing to bow down to Haman. You can compare and contrast it. That's very distracting. You can compare and contrast it with the story of Joseph in Genesis, or with the story of the Israelites' deliverance from Egypt in Exodus, or with the story of Daniel and his friends in Babylon itself. The Joseph story illustrates the way God can be at work through human decision-making, taking of responsibility, and coincidences. Yet, in the end, Joseph makes the point explicit to his brothers in Genesis 50. So, do you remember the last piece of Genesis? I bet it's what Joseph told to his brother. I bet Brendan knows. What did the last piece that Joseph told to his brothers? Yep, so you see, like, even in just in events, without even people praying, Yahweh's still working. Whereas you yourselves intended wrong for me. I know it wasn't you. That's why I was looking back. Okay. Well, my head can only go so far. All right. Whereas yours... All right, let's focus, my friends. Whereas you intended wrong for me, and this is what Joseph said to his brothers, because his brothers sold him to slavery. Yep, and then throughout that miraculous event, Joseph saved pretty much the Middle East. Whereas yourselves intended wrong for me, God intended it for good, so as to act of today to keep alive a numerous people. The book of Esther leaves the matter unarticulated. The Exodus story goes on to illustrate the way God works spectacularly to rescue God's people and bring judgment on oppressors and on people who set themselves up over against God. But in Exodus, God works miraculously. Without a special act of God, there will be no Red Sea deliverance and judgment. In Esther, God works to the same end, but without the miracle. Daniel 3 is explicit in its talk of God's capacity to deliver the 3 young men from the burning furnace in Babylon. Here, Mordecai declares that relief and deliverance will similarly arise for the Jews in Susa, but he does not say that it will be its source. His declaration is an outrageous one. He himself has shown his capacity to use information that comes to him and to use the potentials of his position, his relation with Esther, and his position at the king's gate. But the story makes no mention of God's directing him in this connection. He does what he sees he must and can do. He has torn his clothes, put on sackcloth and dirt, and cried out loudly and bitterly. And it seems that taking such actions means he now knows that there will be deliverance. The story takes for granted that it is God who will be the source of the Jews' deliverance. So, Char, who's the deliverance? All right. That this deliverance is certain because God is committed to the Jewish people, that Mordecai certainly issues from his having prayed and heard God's answer, and that the fasting that Esther also urges on her fellow Jews is the accompaniment of prayer. Indeed, it has been suggested that the book, declining to make explicit any of these assumptions, puts even more emphasis on them. It also takes for granted that being Yedahim is a religious commitment as well as an ethnic identity. but neither does it make this fact explicit, and thus I continue to use the translation Judahites rather than Jews. Yet the refusal to refer to God makes a significant one. Yet the refusal to refer to God makes it a significant point. Our characteristic human experience of God's extraordinary involvement in our lives is anticipated more in the Esther story than the Exodus story. As will have been the case for Judah and Susa, God's deliverance comes about because human beings accept responsibility to use the position they're in. They act in faith with courage, as Esther commits herself to doing. They take the risk of doing so even though they know that the risk is genuine. Daniel's 3 friends know that God can rescue them, though they know they cannot expect the king to agree. But they do not know whether God will do so. Acceptance of our responsibility does not guarantee that deliverance will come to us. All right, clincher. Did you hear that, clincher? So that's part of faith. That's part of courage. Paradoxically, Mordecai goes further in his connection that Daniel's 3 friends, while Esther, with her hesitation, manifests more realism about the situation. Mordecai, of course, has nothing to lose. Not having disclosed her Jewish identity, if Esther also keeps her head down, she may escape with her life. Though Mordecai seeks to close off the temptation to think so. Indeed, maybe the reason she finds herself in the position she has reached is that she has a role to play in assuring that other people escape from the threat to their lives. Once again, are you ready for the clincher, Char? Once again, there is no reference to God's having brought her to that position. That is presupposed, but not stated because it illustrates the way things often work out without one being able to see the hand of God. It will transpire that the survival of the Jewish people hangs on the decision, courage, and cleverness of a beautiful Jew and her guardian. And so this is just living. There are times where maybe you can see the actual hand of God moving something. Like I've known stories where people got in a car accident and an angel literally saves them. But there are moments where, like, being in this position and place, I know Yahweh has worked out the coincidence. Being here now, reading scripture with you guys, I know Yahweh has brought me here coincidentally. There was no mighty hand, but yet Yahweh's still working. Does that make sense? So there's times where there's like a strong miraculous hand. Like my friends who got saved by an angel. Literally a car driving and it just like the angel grabs them. Like a Yahweh messenger hands. Okay. Well, you have the first question, then you have to ask, do miracles happen? Does Yahweh still work today? And then the testimony of people who have experienced miracles, can they be true? And especially if you hear a whole bunch of those miracle access stories, you just have to be in awe of our good God who loves his people. Esther, okay, big clincher. Ready, guys? Esther's hesitation and fear make her faith and courage even more remarkable and the more real to us. She is not a superhero with special powers, but an abused girl. Remember, she was kidnapped. But an abused girl, put in a horrible position because of what she is, a beautiful Jew. Being beautiful does not mean having overwhelming special advantages because of one's beauty. Often beauty puts a person in the position of becoming a tragedy. Marilyn Monroe, Princess Diana. But even while people attribute to them a kind of superhumanity, they were just candles in the wind. Esther illustrates the way that courage and faith are not incompatible with fear and hesitation. So, if someone has courage and faith, does that mean they have no fear, no hesitation? No, it means it's working out the both. Indeed, they come into their own in the context of fear and hesitation. If there is none of these latter, who needs faith or courage? There is a difference in reaction in Susa city from those in the fortress. As in other ancient cities, the fortress or citadel is a development within the city, a mound on which the king has his palace and thus his administrative center, and a place that provides an extra level of defense if the city itself should be overcome by attackers. It will thus be possible for Mordecai to appear in the city in informal dress and a disheveled state, but not in the fortress at the king's gate. The fortress is directly implicated in Haman's edict. The ordinary people are bewildered at what has been determined for the Jewish family next door. There can be a difference between the tough policies that government is prepared to adopt and the way ordinary human values prevail among ordinary people, like the people in the city of Susa. Indeed, even the other members of the king's staff are not so much hostile to Mordecai as curious about whether he will get away with not bowing to Haman on the basis of his being a Judahite. It is not clear whether they mean that the basis for his refusal is his being a foreigner or that his religion forbids him. There's an even bigger contrast between the people's perplexity and the cool way Xerxes and Haman sit down for dinner and drinks. A good day's work done. All right, friends, we can start.
Mechanical! Death to the enemy! I suppose the talk's gone. Menfolk, ghouls, wraiths, and even the Gravewalker himself will be crushed into dust under the feet of the Uruk. Good hunt by myself.
That's so.
Be seeing one of their spears punted through a head or two.
Very good, Captain. Their plans are in disarray. There's still work to be done to ensure the Uruk never tamed the Karagans.
The war chief. The beast tamer.
Aye, that unnatural fiend needs to be put down. To draw him out, use the Karagaths against his war camp. The more Uruk that die by their shadowy bite, the better.
You know, on Steam, there's a Contagion 2 that's multiplayer.
I will not let the Uryks exert mastery over these Karagaths. They are too
Huh.
dangerous.
This looks like a good spot to pass out. Cut him down! Kill them all! To the inside! Get out of the way! Man, Phil! Not surprised to see you show your ugly face during a moment of chaos. Won't be surprised to see you die, neither! Right. Take his head! Time for murder! Crush his face!
Oh, okay.
There was a bunch of slave meat here earlier, and now it's all gone. What am I supposed to eat now?
Whoa.
Ah!
Nerd.
Ow!
So like, it's like that game is a little bit chance based, while also picking up the right. Because you're like living this weird duality of like getting things that are like super contagious, but also things that will make them more contagious.
It's the keen edge what cuts the mountain, they say. But after days of hacking through Uruk heavy plate and Karagor hide, these blades aren't going to sharpen themselves. Our weapons are extensions of ourselves and demand respect. A well-honed blade sharpened with a genuine dwarven whetstone can make the difference between being a hunter or the prey. My brother Gorvin once took a swing at a Caragor, and his axe landed with a thud instead of a slide. He lived to tell the tale, and has been sharpening his blade every night since then.
There is little more satisfying than a sharp blade removing the head of an orc.
Take him down! Find his hands! Get behind him! This one out his head! What do you say? That dog's long gone.
Wow, how much? How much?
What was that?
And Broheim, you're also playing a Roblox variation of it. Like, I have access to the real game if you want to try like the real game with all the stuff connected to it. Oh, actually, yeah, Jason, I actually have access to the second one since you played the first one on Steam. So, second, Plague Inc. I have access to the second one on Steam, Plague Inc. The actual game. Yeah. Is it? Oh, I'm not surprised. It's old.
You'd think the sight of a lone peak in the countryside.
It's also a
would bring cheer
multiplayer,
to a
the
dwarf's
second one.
heart. But alas, that is not so here. Orodruin, the mountain of fire. This volcano stands alone on the plateau of Gorgoroth, but the whole of Mordor seems to dwell in its shadow. It's said Sauron chose this land for his domain because of that mountain. And I hope it suits him. Even dormant, anyone unlucky enough to travel these lands has that hill to thank for choking this acrid air, filling our lungs with ash and our hearts with dread.
Oh my god, it's Gabe!
Oh god. Yes,
Mount Doom. How long before it erupts once more and spreads its darkness over Mordor?
Don't let it get inside your head. Stand firm and fight it. proof of my strength? All right, let's do this. Nas Kuga. Disarm him! Something just moved over there! Wasn't expecting that. Don't matter. Clear up or I'll use You may be fierce. Go on.
This game's like 11 years old. It's funny you see a Roblox variation of it. Shoot, I think I was playing that game when I was dating Robin. Like the actual game. I think we were there. We were playing it at do you remember that? Playing Plague Inc. When your grandma lived in Goldendale?
I won.
Huh? That's when you were in dreadlock mode.
I like it here. It always rings and fish.
If it's worth a game and a respectable trophy you're after, the Caragor roam Mordor in ferocious packs. Quick on their feet and strong to boot, be wary. Their claws are sharper than steel, and I've seen them crush rock-hard orc skulls like eggs in their jaws. Even wargs and lions give them wide berth. One look at these beasts and you'll know why the pointy ears have named them Bringers of Fear.
First the Caragors, now the Caragaths. How many ways has Mordor to kill a man?
He was a useless
Damn these war chiefs. They've caused so much death and destruction. Scavengers are running amok, just hordes upon hordes of filthy ghouls.
Filthy ghouls? I thought all of Mordor's creatures were majestic in their own way.
Majestic?
Yeah, right.
Ghouls? Now you stop right there, Captain. They are an aberration. Those filthy little mongrels, hiding underground with their beady eyes, gnawing and biting and scratching and...
If I didn't know better, I'd have thought you'd see eye to eye with the little creatures.
Are you comparing me with a ghoul? Oh, I'm glad this plague of ankle biters makes you laugh. Their numbers are growing out of control. They'll overrun all of Nurn.
Well, you do have a point. So how can we curb this disease?
There's only one way. We need to drag their vile queens from their nests and cut them down. A ghoul hive without a matron is like a meal without ale. Useless. Scurrying about with a sun in the sky. Just tell
was no matron.
Aye, not this time. Keep rustling their mounds, though. Matrons will come, I promise you.
Menfolk are weak and lack the stomach of mortal required. Cowards run away. What was that? You say something?
in ghoul filth. I see now why Torvin kept his distance.
Walker managed to kill the hammer. Now, so what? We'll make a meal before our lord's fight.
Good news, Talion. You still haven't matched me for ghouls killed in a single afternoon. Ha!
For once it is I who has come up short.
I'll give you that one, Ranger. But killing this next war chief is going to be a tall order. You see, he rides upon a Graug. You'll have to flood his garrison with ghouls to set our enemies against each other.
If these ghouls were ever to become more organized, all of Nurn would be infested in short order.
Kills so many of us and never even gets a scratch on himself.
Keep up if you can, Captain. We've no time to lose. I know you've got it. Give it back, you thieving jackals.
Elbereth Gilthornia.
That ranger knows we're too tough for him.
Well fought, Torvin. But could you spare a moment to explain what this is all about?
We've got a big problem, Talion. A very big problem.
I've never known you to think anything was little, Master Dwarf.
Now is not the time for jokes, Ranger. My camp was ransacked, pilfering uruks made off with all my blasting powder, and my brother's axe.
The Uruks have your explosive powder? How did this happen?
Forget about that. Didn't you hear what I said? They took my brother's axe.
We'll get your axe. But I'm more concerned about the Uruks with the explosives. Do you even know how the powder works?
All I know is that if you put a spark to it, exciting things happen. Surely you remember when we first met?
These war chiefs may study it, learn how to make more. We must get it back before that can happen.
Track split up here. You follow them to the north, I'll hunt the bastards to the south. Find them quickly, Ranger, before they can hide their new treasures.
Enough!
Oh,
Powder,
I have to let the clerical die.
these must have moved their bounty elsewhere.
Track split up here. You follow them to the north. I'll hunt the bastards to the south. Find them quickly, Ranger, before they can hide their new treasures.
No sign of the blasting powder or Torvin's axe. The thieves must have moved their bounty elsewhere.
But,
Good news, Ranger. I found the damned Uruk running off with my brother's axe.
A small victory. There's no trace of the blasting powder anywhere.
Something that valuable, only the smuggler could deliver it to his dark master. It's better blown up and wasted than in their hands. You'll have to track down his couriers and destroy them along with their cargo.
They must find and kill the smuggler and his ilk. The blasting powder cannot fall into Sauron's hands.
Surrender!
Cowardly madman! Run off! I see the Ranger! Kill! Son not the Ranger! Do not resist! way, their target's is dead before we even seize it. Yeah, but they take away all the fun. They need to learn to let a few go by, so I can bust them. You smell something on the air?
No, you. I don't want. Oh, it's
I'm saying. No paywalls, just to make the game go by a little
To track
faster.
down his couriers and destroy them along with their cargo.
Couriers deliver the blasting powder. They will wreak unknown havoc.
Did that seriously kill me? Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
his couriers and destroy them along with their cargo.
The couriers deliver the blasting...
Okay,
powder. They will wreak unknown havoc. That blasting powder could even make short work of the walls of Minas Ithil.
Hey, hey, stop.
Ashgarn. Manfred! Send the Caragor away and let us fight like warriors.
There's nothing left between you and me. Good. I will carve you up and deliver your pieces to the corners of Mordor. Not before, not now.
The smuggler is dead and the blasting powder destroyed. Who knows what catastrophes I've averted this day?
Oh!
Oh my. you bot.
The ledge I fell from. Hurt much, though. I'm tough.
Pay attention, Ranger. I think your ride is here. The Butcher's sending out extermination parties. They're wiping out every creature they can find. They're brutal killers, a lot of them.
An ambitious war chief with a well-trained army. Sounds like a challenge. But if you've taught me anything, Master Dwarf, except a hunt can always turn against you.
I'm not entirely sure what's happening in that mind of yours, Captain. But you've baited the hook now. Come on, out with it.
I will bring a Graug to bear against their forces. I will show them Mordor cannot be tamed.
Now that's a plan. Not very military, though, is it? You've been spending a bit too much time with me. But there's one little problem you should know about.
Despite all expectations, your problems are rarely ever little, Torben.
Yes, well,
No, stop.
and this shouldn't surprise you. These troops have already taken down a Graug. Or three. You'll need to lure out a rare, wretched Graug. A disgusting relative who's adapted to the poison from all the ghouls they eat.
Wretched Graug. Isn't that a bit redundant?
I'm not sure what redundant is, but if it means poisonous, then yes, they are extremely redundant.
All right, Master Dwarf. Show me how to lure these creatures out, and I will do the rest.
Just a few scouts tangling with those ghouls. They should make easy prey. Butcher may have lost his ranging parties, but as long as he remains safe in his stronghold, he'll train more of those killers. Show him the safety he can expect with a wretched Graug at his doorstep.
Uruks fear the monstrosities of Mordor.
Just said help.
I must kill the Butcher and keep the orcs afraid.
I've met a mysterious man in my travels, a ranger of... I've met a mysterious man in my travels, a ranger of Gondor named Talion. Over our fire, I asked after his weapons. Impressive in their craftsmanship. A handsome blade, Orphael, has been at his side since his days stationed at the Black Gate, defending the borders of Gondor. But his dagger, Ahar, carries a sad tale. It too was once a mighty sword, carried by his murdered son, broken the night he died. Talion tells me Ahar means vengeance, and I have a feeling the blade will fulfill the meaning of its name.
I have slain countless Uruk, but still I seek vengeance.
Listen. Why? Win that point.
Love it.
Oh. Oh.
snakeskin is long gone.
Slow moving, but nigh unstoppable, these great beasts appear to be distant cousins of the six-tusked Mumakil. Even a great hunter like myself has never brought down one of these beasts as a trophy. But they're not difficult to track. The very earth shakes under their thundering feet. It's wise to keep on your toes when you're around them so you don't end up underneath theirs. I've seen them rampage and crush orc, troll, and man alike into jelly.
I'm surprised Torvin isn't trying to recruit me into hunting one of those mammoths.
The Bible is a collection of many books, telling one unified story from beginning to end. But all those books were written in different literary styles.
Yeah, think of it like walking into a bookstore where every aisle has a different kind of literature.
The Bible is a collection of many books, telling one unified story from beginning to end. But all those books were written in different literary styles.
Yeah, think of it like walking into a bookstore where every aisle has a different kind of literature. There's history or poetry or nonfiction. And when you choose an aisle and pick up a book, you're going to have very different expectations, different things that you're looking for.
Right, they're all literature, but they communicate in really different ways.
Yes, and so the same thing is true for the Bible. If you don't pay attention to what style it's written in, you will miss out on the brilliance of each book.
So, what are the main types of literature in the Bible?
Well, first and foremost is narrative. It makes up a whopping 43% of the Bible. After that is poetry, which is 33% of the Bible. And then there's what you could call prose discourse, which makes up the remaining 24%.
Nearly half the Bible is narrative.
Yes, and this is no accident. Stories are the most universal form of human communication. Our brains are actually hardwired to take in information through story.
And stories are really enjoyable. Why is that?
Well, stories train us to make sense of the seemingly random events that happen in life by taking those events and then putting them in a sequence. And then together you can start to see the meaning and purpose of it all.
And what links this all together?
Well, good stories always have a character who wants something. And then through these characters, an author can explore life's big questions, like who are we, or what's really important in life. And a good story always involves some kind of conflict.
Some challenge to overcome, just like in our own lives.
And that forces us to think about our own challenges, why there's so much pain or disappointment in the world, and then what can we do about it? And stories usually end with some kind of resolution, giving us hope for our own stories.
Since these are Bible stories, are the characters showing me how I should live?
Yeah, that's not quite the point. Most Bible characters are deeply flawed. You should not be like them. But we are supposed to see ourselves in them, which helps us then see our lives and failures from a new perspective. And without even realizing it, these stories will start to mess with you and change how you see the world and other people and yourself.
Now, there are different types of narrative in the Bible.
Yeah, there's historical narrative, but also narrative parables, short biographical narratives like the four Gospels. We'll look at all these in later videos.
Okay, next up is poetry, which honestly, I don't read a lot of.
Yeah, you're like most people. But 1 out of every 3 chapters in the Bible is poetry.
Yeah, why so much poetry?
Well, poems mainly speak through dense, creative language, linking together images to help us envision the world differently. Poems use lots of metaphor to evoke your emotions and your imagination.
Lots of fancy language, but wouldn't it be easier just to tell me what I need to know?
Well, think about it. In life, we tend to form mental ruts, and we think in these familiar, well-worn paths that are very hard to get out of through logic or reasoning. And what good poetry does is force you off the familiar path into new territory.
Sneaky.
And there's different types of poetry in the Bible. There's lots of types of songs or psalms. There's the reflective poetry of the wisdom books, and then the passionate resistance poetry of the prophets.
Okay, the last big literary type is called prose discourse, and it makes up a quarter of the Bible.
Yeah, these are speeches, letters, or essays. And the focus here is building a sequence of ideas or thoughts into one linear argument that requires a logical response. Like, hey, have you thought about this thing? You should also consider how it connects to this other thing. And if you do, then you will see that this is the result. And in light of that conclusion, therefore, you should probably stop doing that one thing so that this other thing will be the outcome.
So you're persuading me with reason.
Yeah, discourse forces you to think logically and consistently and then do something about it. Biblical discourse is found in law collections, in wisdom literature, and the letters written by the apostles.
Okay, so each book of the Bible has one literary style.
No, actually most books have a primary literary style, like narrative, for example, but then embedded in the narrative you'll come across poems or parables or a collection of laws. Every biblical book is a unique combination of literary styles.
And to read that book well, I need to be familiar with each literary type and how it works.
Yeah, so you know what to pay attention to and what questions you should ask. But before we look at each type, there's one more unifying feature of biblical literature that's really important and really cool, and that's what we'll explore next.
All right. So in the Bible, there are many types of literature styles. Give me one. Poetry, Narrative. And then what was the third one? Prose discourse. So narrative is like a story, right? And then what is poetry? Yeah, they're like it's figured. So yeah, it's like figurative. Like when I say like so the image, when the lambs are gonna sleep like lay down next to the lion. What do you think that conveys? Usually something that's very hostile and never at peace, eating everything, but now it's going to be laying right next to the lamb. When I say the lamb is laying down next to the lion, it's going to be like peacefulness. Things that used to eat each other are no longer, or the thing eating the thing is no longer eating it. Hey, Broheim, can you put that pillow on the pillows? I shouldn't be on the floor like that, especially getting dirt. Thank you. That was not nice. He was sleeping. Yeah, that's cool. All right, and then what's prose discourse? Yeah, it's trying to persuade you. Yeah, so prose discourse means whenever like let's talk about it's a good prose discourse moment when I was talking about not using dehumanizing language in a video game against people. That's a prose discourse when I was trying to explain to you why you shouldn't. And the Bible also tells you stuff you shouldn't do. And tells you like why it's good to follow off Yahweh's commands. Like that's prose discourse. When it's trying to explain, make you do something. Persuade you to do something. What's prose discourse, Jason? Did you hear what I said? What's prose discourse? Prose discourse is me trying to have you do an action, make you believe something. Yes. So when I was trying to convince Broheim to not use dehumanizing language, video game.
travels, I've amassed a worthy collection of treasure and trophies. Heads and hides from all manner of foul beast. And even some lovely trinkets from the Second Age. But the whispered tales of one artifact continue to elude me. The legendary Forge Hammer, used by the elves to craft the Rings of Power themselves. The hammers I've found so far in my hunt have brought me no closer to finding the one I seek. Perhaps the spirit of the elves do not want to see their precious artifact in the hands of a dwarf.
Torvin will never understand how closely this hammer is bound to our fate, and that of all Middle-earth.
fight with a wretched Graug at his doorstep.
He's above us!
Deathwalker! You brought a beast to face a great hunter on his own turf? You know nothing of the hunt, but you will know death!
way.
This should put an end to the Butcher's extermination parties. Let the Uruk suffer the ravages of nature.
Forever. He's sneaky. And if the boss says he's out there, he's out there.
Among the orcs of Mordor, their greatest are the fighting Uruk-hai. And among them, their vicious captains reign over the tribes and armies with ironclad fists. I've dodged more than one pack of foul Uruk on my hunt to these dire lands, and I've stolen glimpses of the rite of ascension among these foul folk. Only the strongest and most devious lead, slaughtering their own kind until none stand to oppose them. Brutal, savage, dangerous. And they don't smell very sweet either.
No doom keeps this dwarf from the grave. His first death will be his last, and his courage is impressive.
Alright guys, been getting off right now. I'll be back on sometime tonight. See you then.